Hey, hello, and welcome to Prime Code Media. This is the fifth episode of our CSS for Beginners series. My name is Sana Mabena. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use CSS class selectors to style HTML elements. And to do that, I'm going to make use of a simple HTML only web page, which I created specifically for this episode. This web page is made up of a level 1 heading or H1. With the words CSS Class Selectors. This is our heading, and it also has 4 paragraphs with sentences reading: class selectors select elements with specific class attributes, which is what the CSS class selectors are all about. I have created a style sheet for this web page. So this is the styles.css file. This is where we are going to write our CSS code. I've also already opened this web page inside my browser. Let's go check it out. Let's see if it's not breaking. Let's refresh. Everything is working fine. So this is the web page that we will be using as part of this episode. Now, a CSS class is an attribute that is used to target specific HTML elements for styling. Remember, in our previous tutorial about the CSS syntax, I used tags to target HTML elements, but this way I was only able to style all the elements with the same tag name. For example, let's say we want to change the color of these paragraphs. Here they are. We want to change the color of these paragraphs. So what we will do, I would go into the styles.css and then use a tag, in this case a p tag, to target these paragraphs, and then a set of curly braces. I'll use let me put in the color property and then the value. For example, let's say we want to change the color to red, and then let's close this off with a semicolon and then save. Now let's go check inside our browser. Let's refresh. Now, as you can see, all the paragraphs have become red. We've changed the color of all these paragraphs to red. This is because we used the p tag, and using the tag only allows us to style all the elements with the same tag name. Now, what if what we don't want to style all these paragraphs like this? Maybe we just want to style the second paragraph to be red, while the other ones will just remain with the default color. How do we do that? Let's first go back to our editor. The first thing that I'm going to do right here, I'm going to delete this CSS code. Let me save and go check back in our browser to see if these paragraphs have gone back to their default color. Let's refresh. They are back to black, which is their default color. Now, I want to give this second paragraph, only this second paragraph, the red color. And to do that, I'm going to make use of a CSS class selector. The first thing that I need to do in order to achieve that is to go into our index.html file and then select the element that I want to style. In this case, I want to style the second paragraph. Okay, and then I'm going to select it by giving it a class. I'm inside the second paragraph, and then I'm going to give this paragraph a class. Let's name this class color, because this is what obviously we want to change. Okay, let me save. So we've selected this second paragraph, and then inside our style sheet, the first thing that we are going to do is to use a period character or dot before we write the name of the class. Remember, the name of the class is color, and then we follow this up with a set of curly braces, and then we specify the style that we want to apply to that second paragraph. So we want to change the color. This is the CSS property, and then the value will be, let's say we want to change this to red. So this is very important. This is the syntax. So the dot and then followed by the name of the class or the class name, and then a set of curly braces, and then inside the set of curly braces, obviously you'll find the property value pair divided by or separated by a colon, and then at the end we close this off with a semicolon. Now let's just save our work and see if this is working. Let's go back into our browser and refresh. There we go. Now we have managed to style only these paragraphs. Only this paragraph, the second one, and as you can see, these other ones remain black. They remain with their default color, and we managed to do this by first coming into our home page, which is the index.html page, and then we selected a specific element that we wanted to style. In this case, it is the second paragraph, and we selected it by giving it a class. And then after doing that, we went into our style sheet and used the syntax. We first used the period character or dot, and then we followed that up with the class name, a set of curly braces, and then we specified the style that we wanted to apply to that specific element, which is in this case the second paragraph. We can even take this further. For example, let's say what we also want to do, we also want to style the fourth paragraph. To do that, once again, we'll go into the index.html and then select the element that we want to style. Go inside here and give it a class. Let's say this time around we want to give this what we want to do to this element. We just want to change the font style. Okay, let's give this a name of a font and save our work. Go back into our styles.css file. Now here we will first write the dot as required, then the class name, a set of curly braces, and then we specify the style we want to apply to that specific element. Now we want to change the font style. Now this will be our CSS property. Let's change it to italic. Okay, making use of autocomplete. It's very helpful because we don't have to type everything word by word. So now the font style is italic. Let's save our work and then go into our browser and then refresh. Once again, we were able to allow styling to this element, to this paragraph only. It is the only paragraph among all these paragraphs that is italicized, and we were able to specifically target this one by using a class selector. Once again, we managed to do this by coming in here and specifying or selecting this paragraph, and we gave it a class. After giving it a class, we came into our style sheet and then we specified the style that we wanted to apply, and this is what we are able to achieve using the CSS class selectors. What is also important to note is that HTML elements can also have more than one class. What this means is that an HTML element can be styled by more than one class. And how do you do this? To do this, you need to specify each class inside the class attribute separated by a blank space. For example, let's say here, apart from italicizing this fourth paragraph, we also want to underline it. So we've italicized it, fine, that worked, but we also want to underline it. How do we do that? To do that, we will do that by using two elements inside the same class attribute. Let's go and put this into action. This is the paragraph, and then inside here we'll just make space and then include another class. This time around, let's just name this new class underline and then save our work and then go into our styles.css, and then right here once again, first thing, the dot, and then we put the name of the class, a set of curly braces, and then we specify the style that we want to apply. Now let's choose text decoration as our CSS property, and then let's select underline. Okay, now I'm going to save my work and then go back to our browser and then refresh. Once again, as you can see here, it is only this fourth paragraph that is italicized first, and in addition to that, it is also the only paragraph that is underlined. And we did that by going into this specific HTML element. We included another class, and we separated the class with a blank space. So we specified this new class, the underlined class, inside the class attribute, and then we separated the two classes with a blank space. And then we came in here, we used the dot first, and then the name of the class as a set of curly braces, and then inside here we specified the second type of styling that we wanted to apply to the fourth paragraph, which in this case was to underline this paragraph. What you will also come across quite often in CSS are classes that are preceded by a colon, and these are called the pseudo classes. Now, pseudo classes define a special state of an HTML element. For example, an active pseudo class can be used to change the color of an element when a user clicks on that element. Let's put this again into action. Inside here we have, for example, on our web page here, we have this level 1 heading, our H1. The first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to give this H1 a background color. Let me go do that. Inside our style sheet, let me do this right here at the top. I'm going to put H1 tag, the tag name here. And then what do I want to do? I want to change the background color of this H1. Let's change it to blue. This will be the value of this background color property. Let's save and go check if these changes are rendered accordingly. Let's refresh. Great stuff. Right now, this CSS Class Selector's heading has a background color which is blue. Now we are moving ahead. What we want to do is to use a pseudo color, which, as I said earlier, it defines a special state of an HTML element. Let's say when we hover over this H1, we want it to turn green. So right now it's blue, but when we hover over it, we want it to turn green. For example, right now we hover over it, nothing happens, but we want this to change. We want it to turn to green. How do we do that? Let me show how you can do that. Let's go back into our code editor. Inside here, I'm going to just create space here. I'm going to target again the H1, and then I'm going to put in a colon. So the thing that I'm going to put here is hover, and then a set of curly braces. And then now I'm going to specify what should happen to H1. What should happen to H1 when we hover over it. Now, what should happen is that when we hover over it, we want it to change to, we want the background color to change to green. We want the background color to turn green. Let's save our work and see if we are able to get this. Let's go back to our browser, refresh, come back here. As you can see, the background color is blue. When we hover over it, it turns to green. There we go. It's working. So the color is blue, and then when we hover over it, it turns to green. And we were able to achieve this by using a pseudo class, which you can see it or identify it by this colon. It is preceded by a colon. And now what we did is we specified the tag, and then we specified the type of a pseudo, like the pseudo class, and then inside here we specified what should happen to that element, which is the h1, what should happen to it when we hover over it. Now let's say, for example, apart from this background turning to green, what we want to also see happen is that when we put this mouse pointer here and click on it, we want the background color to turn to red. Okay, let me say this again. The background color right now is blue. When we hover over it, it turns to green. But what we want to do, or what we want to happen in addition to that, is that when we click right on this element, it should turn red. So we are taking things a bit further. We can do that by, again, coming back here. The element we are targeting for styling, once again, is that h1, and then we are going to put that colon, and then let's put another pseudo class. We are going to use the active, and then here we are going to specify what should happen to this level 1 heading when we click on it. The background color, we want the background color to turn red. Okay, let's save our work and then go back and refresh. Now let's put this to a test. The background color is blue. When we hover over it, it turns green. But now when we click on it, it turns red. As you can see, when we click on it, it turns red. And we were able to achieve this by using a pseudo class which defines a special state of an HTML element. For further reading on pseudo classes or on CSS class selectors in general, you can consult one of the most reliable sources of web development information on the internet. That is the MDN Web Docs. They have a lot of information on this topic. This example that we have just been using a short while ago is called the user action pseudo classes, and it's explained here. It says here these pseudo classes require some interaction by the user in order for them to apply, such as holding a mouse pointer over an element, which is what we were doing. So for the changes to appear, we saw that there was user interaction. We were hovering over that h1. We were also clicking on it to turn it to red. So here are the different types of these user action pseudo classes, and there's also other ones, the time dimensional pseudo classes, resources state pseudo classes. There's just quite a lot of them that you can also play around with. And the great thing about this web page is that each and every class that is here is also, there's also enough text to explain what you will be able to achieve. And that brings us to the end of this episode. In this episode, I showed you how to use CSS class selectors to style HTML elements. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and to click the bell icon to get notifications when new videos come out. And let's code again next time. Bye bye.